Greetings, YouTubians, and welcome back to Wayne Sharp World, where today I wanted to make a video to talk about this knife right here. This is the Spyderco Manix 2 Lightweight that I believe, personally, just me, is the perfect Spyderco Manix 2 Lightweight for a couple of reasons. One, we have CPM MagnaCut on the blade, and two, we have some new scales that have literally transformed this knife into one of my favorite Spydercos ever. Now, let's backtrack a couple steps because I'm not going to fully review this knife. I've already reviewed the Manix 2. It is a great knife. It's a very, very solid one. I've had kind of a love-hate relationship with the ball bearing lock over the years. But this one is just, I don't know if it's just the second time around. I'm getting back into the ball bearing lock. I don't know what it is. But I am really falling in love with not so much this lock. I do like the lock a lot, but this knife in general for a couple reasons. But first, let's take a look at just what we did. Obviously, we installed these scales right here, and these are Allied Weapons Tech AWT aluminum scales. I'll of course have those linked below. And this little guy right here is going to be linked below too, because I've already said plenty of good things about this, but this driver here, the Mega Pro Precision driver, this came in so clutch for this particular disassembly. If anyone is familiar with Spyderco products in general, they are made with extreme quality, very tight tolerances, and sometimes it's just hard to get things out of what they're in, whether it be a screw or a pivot or something. Very tight tolerances, like the lanyard collar back there. Not so much on this knife, but on other knives I've had that issue. Very tight tolerances, sometimes just hard to get things out of there. This came in so clutch for this disassembly, and we'll touch on that here in a bit too. But first, let's just talk about what these scales did for this knife, because the scales it came with were yellow scales, yellow FRN scales like this. And you know, I will say this. I was more impressed with these FRN scales than I thought until something else happened, which we'll also cover in this video in a second, because I'm only showing you one of these scales for a reason. The other one, I'll show you those two pieces of that one scale here very shortly. But what these scales do to this knife is, one, they do increase the overall quality of ergonomics. The ergonomics are much better with these scales, as they've kind of done some more chamfering. They've kind of, as you can see, they kind of minimized the finger area here. Not so much of an area coming out here. It's a little more mellow. You don't really have a swell. It's a little more flat there. So some slight tweaks and changes. And of course, again, the chamfering really makes some pretty big differences. This is not fully contoured. It's more like flat up here, but there's some really nice chamfering on the sides that make it great in the hand, whether you are choking up or not. Really good in the hand, and a great feel, great finish on this aluminum. It's a nice flat finish. This is, I believe, Cerakoted OD Green, which I really like. Love that black and OD Green combo. And of course, yeah, this blade is just fantastic. Spyderco is one of the best out there when it comes to heat treating, and the MagnaCut coming out of Spyderco is Spyderco, really good. So in terms of the action, in the ergos, in the quality, and all that stuff, this thing is fantastic. And what these scales do really just elevate everything. And they also don't add a lot of weight. I believe the starting weight of the Manix 2 was like 2.6, the Manix 2 lightweight, of course, 2.6 ounces. And I believe these scales, after the scale swap, are adding 0.4. So you're looking at right around 3 ounces for this, which is still nice and light. Like, I have zero issues for a 3-ounce knife of this size. Like, that's still fantastic. And it eliminates a lot of things too. You get rid of the liners, and you also get rid of, if you're seeing the handle here, you can probably tell yourself, you get rid of some parts. You get rid of one less little screw with its collar on the one side. So the way these work is, obviously this is not a pin, but the end of it kind of looks like a pin because there's nothing there. But you just push this in one end of the handle, and screw this on. That's kind of how that works on the new lightweights, because the old lightweights don't have pins, they have screws, which is very nice. Also keep in mind, if you want to get some AWT scales for your Manix 2 lightweight, it cannot be the pin version. It has to be the newer version with the screws, otherwise they will not work. They're not compatible. And then you also get rid of these things here, which I don't really know exactly what purpose they serve. I think it's just for, never mind. It's definitely just the purpose of the action. So they go in kind of like back here on the scale. So that's what those are. But since you're changing these, the base inside here does not require these guys here. So you basically just pull the washers off this and you just set these aside. So you're getting rid of all of this extra hardware right here. This is not needed after the installation. So that's really nice. But it also, it just makes for a much more pleasant Manix 2. Really, really nice. I was really impressed with the overall action with this. Like, it was, I purposely made mine a little stiff because I like the stiff action with the ball bearing lock, just for me, because you can still whip it out pretty easily. Of course, everything's harder to do when you're under the camera, of course, but middle finger flick, ooh, so good. Now, let's get into why the MegaPro Precision Driver was huge here. There was a couple points of this disassembly. So getting all the screws off the knife, or off the one side, was actually pretty easy. Sometimes I get worried because Spyderco can put a lot of Loctite in their screws sometimes. It was pretty easy to just pop all the screws loose and get those off. But then we had an issue here, and I'm going to explain this in a second. The broken scale is surprisingly not the issue. The issue was, I'll give you a really good example right here. So this side here, this screw was in there, and as you can see, even like right now, like it's in there very tight. Like the tolerances are very, very snug on this. I'm pulling it out, and it's just it's very snug. You have to really tug and pull to get that out. So obviously this was all the way in there like this. And as you can see, it can be really hard to get those out sometimes, because you have to have, like, at first I tried toothpicks and tried just pushing it out with a toothpick. Of course, the toothpick snapped really easily. And this thing was not budging. I mean, it was in there good. But then the Precision Driver, I did not use this. This is just the normal. This is the normal T8. This comes with T8s and T10s, which are great for EDC in general. But what I used that I loved, that came in so clutch, was this little spanner bit. This is the 2.6 spanner bit right here. And if you pop this in there, this is actually the perfect width of that area there. So you just put this in and push, and it pops it right out. And this was a lot harder to pop this little darn thing out originally. Very bad words were said, words that I will not repeat on this video, but I was really, really struggling. And I mean, I really had to get this thing out, and I had to push really hard, and that was how this broke. So when it comes to the strength of Spyderco's FRN, it's not very strong. I was very surprised at how easily this broke. I don't know if I got a defective scale. To be honest, I don't really care, because I have no use for these scales whatsoever. I bought this knife with the intention of getting rid of these scales, so I could care less the fact that they broke. But I thought they would just be tougher than this. I really did expect them to be stronger than what it is. As a matter of fact, let's see here. Let's give this a test. Yeah, I mean, it breaks pretty easy. I would not buy a Spyderco FRN knife, FRN handle, with the intentions of keeping the FRN handle. You know, maybe it doesn't matter. Granted, there's, I don't know. I just, yeah. I just kind of leave it at that. There's your demonstration. But yeah, I was very surprised at how easily that broke. And the way this broke the first time was I was holding it, and there was another pin up here that I was trying to push out, and I was just kind of, the way I was holding on to it, I pushed, and it just broke off. So yeah, that was a surprise. But again, I don't really care that much about it, because I have no intentions of ever, clearly, I'm not going to be using these scales anymore. But no, got rid of those. The precision driver came in so clutch with this spanner bit. And all these bits, guys, they all come with this. They all come loaded in back here. It's so, so nice. It comes in so handy for so many things. And it really flexed on the versatility of what this can do, especially with that spanner bit. I just had to show you that because I thought it was a nice trick. And it came in really, really handy during the disassembly and reassembly of this amazing knife right here. I would do this over and over again. Zero regrets on this purchase. Love this knife. You guys know I'm kind of a Spyderco fanboy in general, so, and I admit that, like, whatever, I love Spyderco, but this Manix 2, when it comes to scale swaps, this is the biggest improvement on a knife in terms of a scale swap I've ever done. Another one of note was the TRM Atom. I really love the upgrade to titanium scales on that. But this upgrade for me, and for this knife in particular, I don't think there's a knife out there that could be upgraded any better with a simple scale swap than the Manix 2 Lightweight. This is just phenomenal. Huge, huge fan of this knife. Very, very happy with the AWT scales. And again, very, very happy with the versatility of the MegaPro Precision Driver, which is also very reasonably priced. I believe it's like $34.99, I believe. So when it comes to an EDC driver, you get a lot of bang for your buck, a lot of quality, a lot of versatility. Excellent piece here and an excellent piece here. Really, really happy with this build. Guys, let me know what you think of this. Have you been thinking about trying to snag one of those MagnaCut version Manix 2 Lightweights? Because if you do, and you do something like this, it is one of the best knives out there. I love this piece. It's not for sale. It's not ever going to be sold. This is going to be definitely a PC piece for a very, very long time, if not ever. In love with it. The Spyderco Manix 2 Lightweight with AWT scale upgrades and, of course, the assistance of the MegaPro Precision Driver. That's it, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this one. Hope you have a great rest of your day. And until the next one, I'm out.